I've never heard a man complain about having to lead in the relationship as long as he feels loved and respected.
Yes.
If he feels appreciated.
If he doesn't feel loved, appreciated, or respected, then it's exhausting.
Yes, exactly. That's the only time.
If she's complaining that you're not doing enough and you feel like, man, I'm carrying this whole relationship, I'm doing all the work, I'm paying for everything, I'm doing all the chore, and you still don't respect me.
Exactly.
Then it's exhausting.
Exactly. On the flip side, though, there are tons of women who, at a certain point, they don't want to have to be the leader of the relationship.
Why do so many women take it on where they tend to make more money, and maybe the guy isn't working as consistently, or they have a part-time job, or they're a little lazier, let's say. Mm-hmm. And why do certain women get into a relationship like that, where the man isn't providing necessarily for himself or for the relationship, and then stay with men like that?
It's like we talked about earlier. It's leverage, it's control, it's power. You know, he has to value me. Mm-hmm. It's also, listen, if she's having a hard time dating men of a higher stature, well, it just becomes easier to date that guy. Not to mention, in her defense, that woman, if she's walking more in a masculine energy, she's going to attract men who don't have much going on for themselves.
Why is that?
Because, again, we attract that balance. It's a natural thing. You're not going to see a feminine woman being drawn to a very feminine man. It doesn't happen like that. And that's the same way you won't see a very masculine man be drawn to a masculine woman. He may want to have sex with her. He may want to enjoy some things with her.
He's not going to want to live life with her.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Because those energies conflict. We need balance. So what happens is that woman that's giving off more masculine, she attracts that man who he needs her. He needs her to stabilize his life. He needs her for the resources. He will tolerate that energy because he does not possess it within himself.
Or he doesn't want to go out there and work hard. Or
exactly.
Whatever, yeah.
So it's easier for him. And so, yes, she's getting more of those guys coming her way than the established man. And again, in her defense, after a while, you start to say, well, maybe I should give one of these guys a chance.
Right.
Maybe I should try this out. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad.
Good guys, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes they're not even good guys. They're just guys who are willing at that time to put in more effort. So here's the thing. Like, I was speaking to Jay Shetty, and he was saying when he first got with his wife, he didn't have a job. So he was able to spend every day with her, all right? And she kind of got accustomed to this. And I bring his example to say, a lot of times that guy who doesn't have anything going on for himself right now is more available to chase, to pour into, to do whatever she needs.
Spend quality time with her,
yes.
Yeah.
So that also allows the woman to fall into the trap of being with this guy, even though he's not really a great guy for her, because he's not doing things to provide for her and make sure she's good.
But he's keeping her attention.
Yes. He is feeding her the attention that she desires, and in return, taking her resources. So, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, of course.
In a lot of cases.
So with this 50-50 thing, why do you think this is such a big topic, let's say in the last probably 10, 15 years, where it seems like it's 50-50 in the relationship, 50-50 spending, 50-50 taking care of all responsibilities, 50-50 taking care of the kids. When the woman needs to get up and nurse, the husband needs to get up and be emotional support during that time, share the time taking the kids to school, changing diapers, whatever it is that society is saying. Why is this 50-50 thing been so prominent, and why does it not work for both men and women?
All right, so as far as why it has risen to prominence is, again, I think it's this fight for equality. We're fighting so hard and we're losing sight of the bigger picture of balance. Balance is what we need for success, not equality in the relationship. And I would argue that equality in a relationship does not actually exist. Because if you were to examine 50-50 relationships, what you will find is over time, it's going to shift to one person doing more than the other. And I would argue 90% of the time, it's the woman doing more than the guy. Because think about this, the mindset of the man who wants to do 50-50 is very different than the man who's so in love with this woman that he wants to provide for her. His willingness to even accept 50-50, he's gonna be reluctant to do that. It's kind of like going on a date with a guy and one guy's down to pay Dutch and the other guy's like, don't take your card out, I got this. They already have a very different mindset. So that guy who's open to 50-50 from the jump, the chances that he's gonna change later on and wanna take on more is not likely. He's gonna get comfortable in that 50-50 or do even less. Also, consider this. Even when we say 50-50 on the bills, 50-50 on the bills, in my opinion, would be 20% of your income, 20% of their income. That's not what a lot of people do. The mortgage is, let's say, $1,500 and we split it 750, but the guy, let's just say, makes $80,000, the woman makes $40,000,
Right.
that's not equal.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? She's making a much bigger sacrifice than he is.
Right.
So that alone eliminates this idea that it's 50-50.
What about the whole raising the kids thing of like, you gotta,
Exactly, raising the kids. Now, of course, are there scenarios where sometimes it's the man who ends up doing more? Absolutely. But in most cases, the woman naturally gravitates to being the one who handles the kids more. That's what you're gonna find. So again, you're gonna start to see it get skewed in certain areas to where you're not maintaining this 50-50. But then if we go deeper into why this doesn't work. So one, it doesn't work because it's not really sustainable in the vast majority of cases. I'm not saying no one's ever pulled it off, but in majority of cases, it doesn't work. Number two, there was a study that shows, I believe it was a study, that said egalitarian relationships are like the most sexless marriages or the most sexless relationships.
Egalitarian meaning like
Equal.
50-50
equal, you know what I'm saying?
Sexless.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because basically you're neutralizing the masculine and feminine polarity.
The polarity of it.
Exactly. It's now just neutral.
Flat.
It's flat. It's not, there's no excitement there. There's nothing there. It kind of reminds me of this guy. I don't want to put him on, but I don't know his name, so I guess I could say it. There was this guy on Twitter, I think it was like late last year, and he posted that how his wife just came home from like a 16-hour shift or something crazy like that, and here she is shoveling the snow in the driveway, and how he's so proud of her. Let me get her coffee ready. And the commenters ate him up. Like, they went in. But, in his mind, we're equal, we're 50-50, look at her doing all these things. But in reality, if a woman has to come home to a man that puts her in that position all the time, doesn't step up, she's gonna start to lose attraction. And you're, again, overburdening the woman. What a man has to understand, and it's actually mentioned in the book, The Way of the Superior Man,
yes,
where he says, don't make your woman your everything. I think what men underestimate is that women are in their head a lot. They're constantly thinking, constantly processing. So if too much is on her plate, she becomes mentally exhausted, mentally worn down.
Overwhelmed.
Yes. So when the woman says, I'm too tired for sex, the man thinks, well, you weren't doing nothing all day. Her mind was a million different places all day. By the time she got to this moment, she does not have the energy. When the mind goes, the body goes with it. So when you put too much in front of her, you are taking away her ability to thrive in certain areas. So as the book mentioned, you want to identify as a man, what do I need most from her? What's going to be most important from me? Let's now hone in on those things and find someone else to take care of the rest.